Welcome to Season 2, Episode 12 of We're Just Talking About It. Today we wrap up our conversation with Khalil, who in last week's episode talked to us about what it was like the day the Taliban arrived in Kabul. This time, he's talking about what it was like when the U.S. troops came in overnight to Afghanistan. Then we fast forward to what the current situation in Afghanistan is and how young Afghans are living today.
So y'all had already thought about what you would do to fight the Taliban, and then September 11th happens. By October, America has wandered into Afghanistan to hunt them down. What did that mean for you folks that already realized what the Taliban were?
Well, I mean, that was the moment of truth. That was the thing, the moment that we were waiting so impatiently that to happen. And that was the realization of our dreams, that moment. So every time I think about this, I think that back then, especially that moment, the American troops were considered real saviors. And all these, it's funny because I remember the night that the Air Force strike started on the Taliban strongholds, and everybody knew, we were so sure that, the American Air Force is so sophisticated, they will have their targets already calculated, and their precision is really really perfect, kind of up to close to perfect. So they would never hit people. And that was like you would hear that, just a bomb landed on a house that was like maybe 100 feet away from us. And then you knew who is in that house. Yeah, and then we were like, sleeping so like baby that night, because I thought, all over the city, you could see this mushroom kind of cloud, and you can see that, the explosion all over the city. You hear that so loud and clear, but we were still sleeping. We thought that, they know what they are doing. So in the morning, the city was cleared after a couple of days, and then we started seeing again new faces in the streets, and then everything started right there. It was just, nobody knew how to actually express their happiness that day. It was just undescribable, what we saw that day. And that was just a liberation. I mean, it was a moment of liberation.
A moment of liberation. These words, I mean, this means so much to me. I've worked on Afghanistan for so long. I've met and I've talked with so many people that told me these stories about what it meant to see the U.S. coming in. And I get frustrated some days. I know some of the younger folks that didn't live through the Taliban era in Afghanistan, they can be cynical about the U.S. and our assistance in Afghanistan, but I think a lot of them miss the point about what life was like before we got there. It's not perfect, and we've made mistakes, but it's been pushing in the right direction.
It was yes. So I mean that it was another glimmer of hope in the beginning, and we thought that's another golden opportunity, and it was. But unfortunately, things started going south because of all these internal domestic corrupt leaders, and then how they played their part in the recent history of Afghanistan. And then that's why people get frustrated sometimes, because they think that there was this misplaced kind of trust, U.S. misplaced trust on the wrong people. And they were actually expecting to see some people that they can call real leaders, true leaders, people who shared. That everybody was kind of imported. Like people were coming to Afghanistan as a leader or as like experts,
and then
sure. but they were all people who did not share that experience with the ordinary Afghan who lived through those years. They left Afghanistan a long time ago, before Dawood's republic. They left Afghanistan that time, and then they just came back, and they actually missed a big chunk of.
I think that I've felt that frustration many times, and I've looked. I got to work with some of these leaders that came in that hadn't been in Afghanistan for a long time, and they just didn't understand what you just went through, all those seminal moments that shaped you. I think they were kind of disconnected. What are your thoughts before we run out of time here? What are your thoughts on where Afghanistan is today, and the future?
Well,
I'm seeing a lot of younger folks now that are growing up in this new Afghanistan and are moving into positions of power finally across the government. Is this going to be what turns the corner finally?
I would say that the legacy of the United States, if they leave Afghanistan at some point, would be this, this sort of half-baked freedom that we received, and people, actually, especially youth, started taking advantage of that. I mean that, you go everywhere in Afghanistan, you can see that everyone has a smartphone. They have an internet plan. They can access all these social media, Facebook, Instagram, all of them. And who wants to actually just, give all these back? Nobody. I mean that this is the sweetness of the freedom. Nobody wants to give it up.
Yeah, I agree.
The cost. Yeah. I mean that, unfortunately, I read an article the other day, Mr. Khalil Zad's wife wrote that article. And it talks about, the Afghan woman, being liberated after the 2011 by American forces, by the people of the United States, which is true. But that wasn't the first time that they were actually having these freedom. And if you see in the course of history, woman movement started back then, even in 1919, by during the time of King Amanullah, and we had all these, they had all these rights that other women even had in the West, but that wasn't a new that wasn't a new thing. That it was kind of that you just what they call it, suck it up because we're leaving. That article basically was like this.
Yeah, I don't think she wrote that in the best of tones. I did not see a lot of people happy with that article.
No, I mean actually those are the people actually they live in those bubbles, and they don't have this connection with the real Afghans in the country. Even being Mr. Khalil Zad, being Mr. Ghani, being Mr. Karzai, although Karzai has some experience, but all these people that are in power now, I mean that I can share an experience with you. One day I went with one of the advisors to the Ministry of Civil Aviation, and the minister was not ready for the meeting, but we met with the deputy minister. As soon as we started the meeting, and I felt like the advisors that I was working with was kind of not happy, but at the end he told me that, what, I can't believe it. I know this guy and this deputy minister, and he lives in New York, and he has a pizza shop. And I used to go there. I have talked to him like several times, and he barely graduated from high school in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything. He doesn't have any achievements in the United States that you say he's an expert. He is not.
And he's the deputy of aviation.
Yeah. So people like him. Well, there were unfortunately other things that went wrong. I mean that I don't know, maybe that was the strategy back then. We were not ready for this fourth phase of the military operation, which is I believe, a stability operation, right? We were not ready for that. The U.S. troops were not ready for that stability operation.
Yeah,
and that's what
we never had enough people to do it at the beginning. That takes a lot of people to, set up basically a police force. That was a slow process.
Yep. And everybody that, just offer their hand and they say that, yes, you're on board, come on in. And something like that happened. So this is, there are so many, as far as the current situation in Afghanistan, unfortunately, the only silver lining that I can see is the Afghanistan youth. They don't want to give up their freedom. They don't want to give up these things that civilization actually can ensure, and they don't want to give up that. And on top of that, the other legacy of the United States would be some of the Afghan national defense security forces that they trained. And I could say, as an example, the special operation forces that they trained. Those are really exemplary forces. And these are the things that we can count on in the future. And then, taking a sort of appreciative inquiry approach. And I think that, if they can, start talking positively about their achievements and what they have, that they are proud of, and then kind of capitalize on that and go from there. And I think that would help them in the future. Otherwise, the country has been already divided along the ethnic lines. And if I am pessimistic, I would say that the country is literally in the brink of another civil war, unfortunately.
So we're counting a lot on the younger generation not wanting to go backwards and give up freedoms, and counting on parts of the ANDSF to hold the country together as they get through this. I've been telling a lot of Afghans I speak with, the war was the easy part. Now you're coming to the time when you start to make peace, and this is dicey. This is the hard, delicate part.
That is true. Yep.
So this has been great catching up with you today, and we'd love to have you come on again.
Having this conversation, opening this kind of dialogue with the people of the United States. It's not just about spending their tax money, right? It's not just about that. America has been the leader of the free world, right? This is about this kind of self-efficacy, and every citizen of the United States should be proud of the good things that they have done for the rest of the world, and just not think about here and there what happened, what went wrong, and just kind of try to self-educate themselves and then go to libraries at least, and then read about these things, and just not get your facts, unfortunately, from the Walmart cashier, or you go get your facts from the Facebook or social media, things like that, and do some deep research, real research on the fact. You guys have been doing a great job in that, department right now with these podcasts. I happen to listen to a couple of these podcasts. I think this is a real conversation with real people that can lead us somewhere, that can, give us this understanding, give us this knowledge that we are seeking. I think it's a great effort. I really, truly appreciate what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to our conversation with Khalil. It was truly enlightening for us, and we hope it was the same for you. As always, we appreciate your support, and thank you for listening. You can find us at We're Just Talking About It on Facebook and Instagram, and you can email us at wjtanc@gmail.com.